How is it? It's difficult or what? Keeping the mind as a blank might be a little bit difficult, but something will come in your mind. Whenever something comes in your mind, don't force too much to the mind. When you try to force too much to the force your the mind, again you will suffer. When you try too much of the forcing to someone, it will be very difficult for you. So that's why be as a natural. But meditation should start with a natural way. So that's why the mind is a very strange. Mind is a very strange. When you try to force too much to the mind, then it will react very badly. The mind will react very differently. So not too much of the forcing of your mind. So that's why in the Buddhist meditation technique, what you say that whenever you start to practicing the meditation, when you can't do it, just take a rest not to do it. Then again a few minutes later, again you have to start it. Again, if you can't do it, just leave it. Then you not to try to force your mind. Okay. So that's why there's a saying that one master told his student at the meditation. Student asked the master to teach him the meditation technique. So master told him the very easiest meditation. That he told him that you can meditate anything, but you should not think about the monkey. Not to think about the monkey. So whenever the student started to do the meditation, whenever student have to try to think something, the monkey appearance comes into his mind. So he cannot do it. Don't think the monkey. That's why I'm saying that when the God told the Adam not to eat the apple, so that's why he failed to eat the apple. But if at that time if the God tells Adam, you must eat the apple, definitely Adam won't eat the apple. He will say, I will eat anything but not the apple. Definitely Adam will say that. But the God told him to eat the apple, so he will not to eat the apple. So that's why his mind wants to eat. Yeah. So that's why. So you should not force too much of your mind. So that's why you can see that when the depression and the stress, it comes because of the forcing too much of your mind. Very simple way. Whenever you look at the person with a depressed and stress, at the case of the very depressed, very severe depression person, his mind will focus on the only one point. Even you cannot drive his attention from what he is thinking. Very difficult. Because mind is focusing on too much on the one point. Very wrong point. When you focus too much, then stress, depression, this all starts. So that's why this is nothing than the focusing on the one point, the too much. So that's why. So these terms, so you will be you will feel very amazed of in the Buddhism term what we are using, the depression. There are many layers of the Buddhism depression. We call it called the yimite. I don't know, but even I think the Tibetan boys, they won't take it. That's a philosophical term, so they can't catch it. But we call. So that's why there are many layers of the depression, the stress, many layers. But basically, the all comes on the focusing on the too much of the self. Focusing the too much of the self. It's a very simple. When the people get the stress, the depressed, they will say the one thing: I'm hopeless, I'm failure, I failed, I'm loser, because they are focusing too much on the self. So. Yeah, so now we will just come to the so now we will just read the 13th paragraph 13. Chakbe dendro. Oh, sorry, I'm reading that in Tibetan. By attachment does not enter the fortunate realms. It also takes the life of the nirvana. Wherever the virtuous dharma seen, you should strive for it. I think that nirvana, I think you have heard that word quite often. Nirvana is in the Buddhism, what we used to call that nirvana is just a liberation, or the Buddhahood, we call the Buddhahood. But the one thing here you have to understand that how does the Buddhism, we define the nirvana. Very simple way, there is one master. There's one master, he have obtained the nirvana. He have to obtain the nirvana, he obtained the Buddhahood. So many of the monks went to his place and asked what the experience of when you are obtaining the Buddhahood and the nirvana, your experience. Can you please share your experience attaining the nirvana? So master have told the one thing. Before I'm obtaining the Buddhahood, before I'm obtaining the nirvana, I used to, when the monastery, you know what you call, I don't know. In the monastery, we used to have a huge bell. It's not a bell actually. What do you call? Gong. Yeah, gong. Yeah. Okay, gong. Okay. When the gong sounds, when the gong sounds, I used to carry the bowl and I used to go to have the lunch. And after the finishing the lunch, I used to wash my bowl and I used to come back to my room. After the obtaining the nirvana and the Buddhahood, I'm doing the same. When the gong sounded, I used to go to the kitchen. After that, I used to wash my bowl and I used to come back to my house. I used to do the same. He just shared the experience like that way. He was very true. Because when we attain the nirvana and the Buddhahood, physically, there's nothing change comes. Only the changes come in your mentality. Mentally, you will be totally changed. Physically, you will remain the same as the before. Don't think that when you obtain the Buddhahood or a nirvana, you will become like a Superman or Batman or something like that, okay? Okay, you won't be same as what you are physically. Mentally, you will totally change. If you look at the Buddha, after the obtaining the Buddhahood, he is mentally completely changed. He became very calm. Even at that time, when someone spit on his face, he will not react. Here, but at the time in the palace, he was completely shocked and the desperate and nothing. He will enjoy his kind of life. So he was very desperate situation. After the obtaining enlightenment, everything is changed. When you will see that when you are inside, when you feel the very happy or the immense of the joy from the inside, you will see the whole environment is very different. If you try to see from the depressed person's point of view, you will see all the environment very dull and unpleasant. Yeah, so that's why. So maybe that's why. So that's why he's saying nirvana is that the point that the way the changes, transformations should become from the inside, where your mentality changed, freed from all of the negative thoughts. Then we call that state as the nirvana, or the enlightenment. So once we have to achieve the nirvana, first of all, that we have to abandon the attachment. Once you have not succeeded to abandon the attachment, you will not reach that state, attachment. So that's why here it's saying that the attachment is not attained. So that's why it will take the life of the nirvana. Life of the nirvana. The attachment takes the life of nirvana. Wherever the virtuous dharma is seen, you should start. Now the dharma, the dhamma, this word stands for the many different meanings. Dhamma. How do you translate this word, Dhamma? I think you won't get exact translation in English. There's no exact translation for the Dharma in English. Dhamma, this word stands for many different meanings. In Tibetan, we used to say that word as a chu. This chu word stands for many different meanings. Dhamma, sometimes this word stands for the reality, truth, nature, goal, religion. So many different meanings for the Dharma. So it said the truth. Whenever you have a strong attachment toward something, you won't see the truth and the reality of your life. You can't see that. Suppose example, when you have a very strong attachment toward the house or the car or the something, then for the sake of that, you will do everything. You will lose your time, you will lose your energy, everything. But after getting that, you won't feel that long. You won't feel that much happiness too long, maybe week or the days. So here my point is that's why the attachment, it cuts them. So maybe I will jump with this now the 14th paragraph and we will take the break, okay? 14th paragraph is this, whichever is initiated early should be accomplished the first. This is the very true and a very, very effective message he is giving. In our life, there are so many works comes into our mind. So you will feel that I have to do this and this and this and that. First of all, what we have to do, you have to think that whichever in the initiator early, you should accomplish that first. It is just like if you look at a sand clock, you know the sand clock. When you put the sand clock moves. Do you have any idea that the sand will moves for downwards for the all together or what? When you see the sand clock, when you put the sand clock, the sand will moves downwards, isn't it? It moves downward the old sand together or how it moves? Huh? Yeah, little by little. It's a little bit of systematic. Same thing, our life is like that sand clock. Whatever we have to do the same, so many jobs in our mind, but we have to do this systematically. Do it first, we have to do something, then second should be done second. Systematically, we have to do every job is systematically. Otherwise, if you try to do every work, what comes in our mind, we will not succeed at all. That's why we have to do every work by the systematically. So, Now we have to work the systematically, so I think I have to take the break. So it's so maybe break. We will take a 10 or 15 minutes break. So then again we will meet. Okay. Now 15, you can see that always detached from attaching sinful deeds. When mind becomes the inflated with pride, repress the pride at the time, recollecting the instruction of the Guru. Always detached from the attaching sinful. When the mind becomes inflated with pride, repress the pride at the time, recollecting the instruction of Guru. Now here you can see that the always detached from the attaching sinful deeds. Always detached from attaching sinful deed. Here it means that in the Buddhist point of view, as you can, I think you have heard about the Panchashila. So Panchashila, it's Panchashila. So that's why now the ones that you take the Panchashila, it means that now you have to detach from the sinful deeds. So Panchashila, I think you all know the Panchashila. Yeah. So I will not tell you what the Panchashila is. You know all the Panchashila, isn't it? Huh?
No.
Huh? No Panchashila. Oh, okay. Panchashila la kalla vidda. How to say in English? 5 precepts.
5-fold path.
Yeah, 5 precepts or 5-fold path. Do you have any idea of that? No. Okay. Okay, very easy. I will start with that. Not to taking the alcohol, not to drink the alcohol. But some people used to tell me that alcohol is good for consuming the alcohol. Little consuming the alcohol is good for the health. But still, I'm not very sure of it. Anyway, but the consuming the alcohol. But I see all the negative points of the drinking the alcohols. So there is one story that I heard about that. There is one story. There are 3 persons gathered. One Russian, one French, one Chinese. So these 3 persons discussed about their own alcohol. So the Russian guy told that the Russian vodka is very strong. Whoever consumed that vodka, it will be intoxicated within a few minutes. That Chinese person told that the Chinese wine is very strong. After taking the Chinese wine, you will get intoxicated in a few moments. Then the French guy told her, no, the best wine, the French wine is the best in among these all alcohols. So they discuss. But finally, now they got the one solution. They want to see that which is the more effective, the wine, more effective. So that's why what happened is that they just pick up the one mice. They just pick up the 3 mice. 3 mice, and what happened is that they just give the mice with the French wine. After consuming the French wine, consuming the French wine, then this mice took the few walks, maybe 5 or 6 walks. After that, they just fell down. The mice just fell down. It was totally intoxicated. So the French guy told the rest of the peoples, and they told, now look, how is the French wine? How is it effective? Then they took another mice. Then they just gave the Russian guy, gave him the Russian vodka. After giving the Russian vodka, that mice just took a few steps. Then he just fell down. So that now the Russian guy told the French guy, now look at the Russian vodka. After taking the few sips, now what happened? It just fell down. And I'm just moving the 2 or 3 steps. Then the Chinese girl told, there's nothing special in these alcohol. Just look at the power of the Chinese wine, Chinese traditional wine. Have you heard that the Chinese traditional wine, sometimes they used to make with the bone of a tiger? Wine of tiger. So that's why the Chinese guy gave the mice with the Chinese wine. After consuming the Chinese wine, mice become very alert and very sharp, and he just ran inside of the kitchen. Coming out of the kitchen, he just took off the one knife out of his hand at the mice and shouted and said, where is the cat? I will kill that cat. So consuming the alcohol is totally like that. Even the rat, he will bring to kill the mice. Sorry, kill the cat. Even the mice. So that's why consuming the alcohol is like that. So that's why Buddha have told them not to consume the alcohol. In my experience in the Vietnam, one of the company of the beverage company owner, she just asked me to bless for his company business. So very strange way, in a Western tradition, she brought me the alcohol, all these products, in the whole company. So just asked me to bless. So I told them that I'm a Buddhist monk, so I will pray very differently. I will pray that way, that whoever consume your alcohol, not to get drunk. Less drunk. So that's my point of that, yeah. So that's why Buddha, the Panchashila first is not to get the alcohol at all. So that consuming the alcohol. Number two is that even if you look from the health reason, the consuming the alcohols are not totally unnecessary. Number one. Even if you look from even if you look from different perspective, if you look from a very holistic way, so consuming the alcohols are not a good thing at all. So that's why Buddha have talked, even if you look from the health reason, it's not good. And so that's why consuming the alcohol is considered a sinful deeds, one of the sinful deeds. So the another is, the second is stealing. I know that you have all know about the stealing. So the third is lying. So lying means that there are different type of the lies, okay? In the Buddhist point of view, even what we call the white lie, even if you just praise someone not fully, suppose example that once you feel someone is not a good, but still once you praise him, and once you told him that to sake of the pleasing the other, if you use some sweet words, that's a lie, okay? That's what we call, whatever you're calling the sweet talk, should not be the lie, okay? You should not use the lie at all. With my experience with one of the American lady, I met her maybe 3 or 4 years later. Then after the meeting her, she told me that, oh, Rinpoche, in this year, you look much younger. So in deep down, I feel she told me the very big lie. How can I be the younger in this year? I will get more and more older. That's the nature of the reality. No one will become younger. They will get older and older. So deep down, that's what we call the white lie, or the sweet words, or whatever you call it. That's a lie. So Buddhist point of view, you should not use that way. Because once you have to, especially in the family, when you have to gain the trust of your family wrestler member, you should not use the lie at all. Even once you deal with the kids, you should not use that lie at all. In the monastic same way, when we have to deal with so much of the small monks and the kids, so that's why I never use the lie to them. Sometimes very sensitive issue with that I cannot use the truth. Then one best thing that Buddha have said that I will remain as a silent. It's very silent, that we have to remain as a silent. So that's why best thing is that so that's why sometimes when you cannot tell the truth, someone asks you some questions, but when you cannot want to tell the truth, you can just avoid the questions. There are the many way of avoiding the questions. I think you know much better than me, so I will not. So that's why some people used to tell me that for the business sake, they tell me that not using the lies are very difficult. But I don't think that is not necessary. Even in the business, I don't think a lies are very important. Because my experience, one experience with one of the very, very rich merchant. So I just share with that merchant, very rich merchant. I think but he's is dealing with the most with the selling the, what we call that. I don't see that like in the India. What do you say, with a house, with a garden, and what do you call that in Switzerland? Like the chalet or what? The house and the gardens, and what do you call the chalet or what? Chalet, yeah. It's a dealer with a chalet, or the building, being in the whole building, but holds a cities and like a chalet city and like that. So that margin I just discussed with her, and so I just asked the success of her success of the gaining or something like that. So she told me very good thing. She told me the winning the trust of the customer. That's the most important in the business. So winning the trust of the customer is only comes when you have to use the truth. Then only you can win the trust of the customer. So that's why even in the business, I don't feel that the lie is very important in the business. But I don't have any idea of the petty business, what you call the small business, just for the 1 or 2 days business might be the like and works. But if you look from the long-term business, I think the truth is a very important to the way, especially for the relations. It's a very important. When you use the lie to someone, then they will lose the trust. When you lose the trust in the family, then it is a very difficult to live together. Very difficult. The key point of the living together is that you win the trust of your family member. Then only you can live together. So I insist on my mother too much to not to use all these white lies. Still I'm insisting, but she is very used to. Because in the Tibetan, I think you have no, I think in the Center Tibetan called the Lhasa, Center Tibetan way of the talking is a very different. Way of the talking, there's a very polite manner, but their polite manners are very different. Using the too much of the sweet lies. Sweet lies they used to. So I'm insisting. Now my father, my brother, they are taking my part, and they are all helping me to insist on my mother not to use that. Whenever she communicates with the others, sometimes she use this sweet lies to insist to make the others happy. That's wrong. I think very wrong. So that's why one time my cousin sister, she just called me and she just told me, we was just talking. So my cousin sister told me that she just called with my mother. She was just talking with some issues with my mother. So my cousin sister told me that she won't believe that my mother was just saying, but she knows that my mother sometimes used the sweet lies. So so that's why the point is that's why Buddha have told her not to tell the lie. But it does not mean that some people misinterpret the Buddha's word. They think that we should tell the truth all the time. It's not like that. It does not mean that we should not tell a lie. Does not mean that we have to tell the truth. It is not like that. We should not tell the lie. But it does not mean that we have to tell the truth. It does not mean that. If sometimes when we are not suitable or sometimes we can't tell the truth, best thing is to remain silent. So that's why have you heard there's one sutra, Buddha called Vajrachetika Sutra. In the later part, Buddha have told that I have spoken nothing. He gave that statement. He have spoken nothing. So in some situations, you have to keep remain very silent. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why here that's why. So misful deed. So I'm talking on the misful, not to tell a lie. So the fourth one is the adultery, with going with the other woman or the other husband rather than your own wife and husband. That's adultery. So that's one of the fourth sinful deed that Buddha have told to avoid for the older person. Because if you look at the one thing that if you look at it very carefully in these issues, very carefully that most of the time, because in these cases right now, if you look at it in this present time, this will bring so much of the troubles into your family life. So this all the Buddha has said, give these advices to build up the one with a good and a happy family. So they are the one you have to build a very happy family. So you have to avoid such things. You have to avoid all these sinful deeds. Now the fifth is killing. I think the killing is a fifth sinful deed. Now the killing is a very difficult task. Maybe but Buddha is killing means not to kill the human. He is talking about not to killing any sentient beings. Very tough task. I think it's very tough, especially for the mosquito and the cockroach. Yeah, I know that. Very mosquito and the cockroach. So, but my point is that we have to not. I think that we have to find some other solution to how to remove the cockroach and the mice. Because in my house, I've tried a few methods. First, I tried to catch the mice. Then I tried to catch. There's one special gadget. I got it, but it creates some of the microwave or something. It used to say that it will have to remove the mice, but I don't know. It don't works at all. But I don't know. It don't works at all. But now later on, what I found is the mice also comes because of the mind careless. Once I don't care to put all the eatable objects in the right place, then the mice comes. It's just like the invitation for the mice. So that's why now I realize that I should not keep the eatable objects out of the refrigerator, on the tables, on like that. So that's why it helps. Now the past couple of the months, it really helped. Now my house became my house is now there's not much mice is coming in my house. So even the mosquito issues. But the point is that now the killing point is the one other thing is that the one you have to kill the mosquito, then you will not feel the hesitate to kill the rat. Once you know, used to kill the rat, then you can kill the goat and sheep. Then you can kill the human. Then it's not very difficult at all. If you look at the Maoist guerrilla in Nepal army, when they recruit the army, no one can kill the human. No one can kill the human, and from the childhood they have no any potential, or they have no any this courage to kill the human. So they trained their new recruited army to kill the chicken, then cow, then sheep. Later on, after that, they have succeeded to killing all these small animals. Then they will give the gun, and then they will ask them, should they shoot the human? So that's why Buddha have started to talk. So not to killing from the insects, ask not to kill the insect. So the one thing that I don't believe in this one. I think, or even although that you won't believe that. You don't believe. There's one thing that what happened is the one thing in this traveling in the South Asia, what happens is I just asked it to bless in one of the restaurant. So in that entering that restaurant, I saw that there's one aquarium, huge aquarium, so many different of the fishes on the aquarium. Aquarium, Rebecca, aquarium sana kare. Chibarebe. Chibare se mare se. Ta chhora to chik love de yata. Chibarebe se mare se kare. Aquarium re kare. Nyalu sa de. Aquarium ro ya ni nyalu sa de. So aquarium. So I saw the huge aquarium. After the blessing and that restaurant and everything, then later on they told me that this aquarium, all the fishes, is for the customer. Once who are taking the seafoods, they just come near the aquarium. They will choose the fish which he or she wants to eat. So they told me that when they eat the meat, just after the killing the fishes, it will be more tasty. I don't accept at this point. Even I feel that you don't accept at this point. Because I told them it is just this all exists only from your mind. Your mind is imputing like that way. So that's why you are feeling some special taste just eating after just killing that insect. But still I don't believe it is. So that's why what happened is the very strange thing is that's why eating all this like this or the insect. I'm not fully sure, but in the Vietnam, in my life I've met the people, most people, so much number of the people who was infected with the incurable disease, cancer disease. So I was so shocked. In the young boys, and so many people they told me they are infected with these diseases. But I'm not very sure that whether they are because of their lifestyle or not. I suspect that because of the lifestyle. They are eating too much of the, I should say, the non-veg food, especially these are chemicals foods. I'm not fully sure, but I suspect it. So that's why when the Buddhas come through not killing the animals. But here the one thing is Buddhism encouraged to not kill. But now if you raise whether the non-veg food is allowed or not, that's a big question in Buddhism now. Because I'm being the Tibetan Buddhist master, because myself I'm a vegetarian, but I will say that the Buddhism, from Buddhist point of view, non-veg is allowed it. Buddha have allowed it. But if you look at the Chinese Buddhist tradition, they will say no, Buddha is not allowed to eat non-veg food. But there is so many of the. But if you look at the Buddha's life history, there are some evidence shows that the Buddha have allowed it to eat the non-veg food. But that's not a big issue at all. But the one thing is very important thing is not to killing the others, respecting the life of the others. This is very important. When you can respect the life of the others, then only you will feel the joy of yourself as a living. So in this world now, what happening is that if you look at the most of the cruel person, one of the very very cruel person, cruel person. If you look at a cruel person, how they become the cruel? Because they forget to respecting the life of the others. Once you forget the respecting the life of others, then you will become very cruel. Then you will forget to respect the other's sentiment. Then you will forget to respect the other's welfare. Then you can do anything, sake of yourself. You can do anything. You can hurt anyone. So it's happening all over. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah. So best thing is that's why Buddha have told about the abandon sinful deeds. That's why Buddha give the Panchashila vow. I think you have a Panchashila vow. Panchashila vow is to avoid all these sinful deeds. Avoid sin. Once right now, if you can't avoid at all, at least you can try to decrease it. See it, how it helps or not. When you decrease it, that's a good. So that's why one occasion I was in Nepal. So in the village, I was giving that vow, Panchashila vow. So I asked them who want to take this vow and who want to abandon the five these sinful deeds, who want to take the Panchashila vow, raise your arm. I just announce it. There is one guy. He was just looking in front of me, just looking at me. He just raised his arm. So rest of the other, they all raise their arm, but not looking at me. They are looking each other and they just raise their arm. Now I know that only the gentleman who raised their arm looking at me keep that Panchashila vow. Rest of them, I'm very sure that they have not kept the vow at all. So that's why, initially that's why Buddha kept the Panchashila vow. That's a Panchashila vow is just like the rule. If you leave the one of the good society, you need the rules in the society. If you need one good nation, you need the rules in the nation. Once there is no rule in a nation, then that nation will be ruined. So even the same thing, once you have the build of the one good on family, they need one rule in the family. What kind of rule you need in that family? Panchashila, that's rule in the family. In the society, you need the rules. Especially in the nation, you need the rules. Once you don't have the rule, what that nation will, can you imagine that the nation without a rule? Then person will do anything what they want. So that's why you need one rule. You can see that the rules of the society, every society and every organization, they will have the rules. They will have the rules in every nation. They have a constitution. But someone ever thought to have the rule in the family? No one yet thought to rule the family. So that's why Buddha taught the Panchashila rule. If you follow that Panchashila rule in your family, they will be very much less. If you look at any family dispute, I can say that 60 or 70% comes from the not giving the Panchashila. 60 or 70, you can keep that. Lie, adultery, consuming the alcohol, these all bring the problems in your family. Very true. Because that's why I saw one of the article. Most of the divorce cases 70% divorce cases comes after the adultery. Recently, you can look up the Arnold Schwarzenegger case. Very simple. He's divorcing his wife because of that, not giving the Panchashila. Is it true or what? Now he's losing the 200 million. What I said yesterday article, I saw that his wife is suing him and to get the 200 million US dollar. If he keep that Panchashila vow, at that time he have not lose the $200 US $1 million. I'm very sure, yeah. But Panchashila also economically it will help him. But he forgot to keep that Panchashila vow. So I think you have read the Schwarzenegger, the governor case in the paper. Yeah, very interesting. That's why that's why the Buddhas all this. First of all, sometimes people used to feel very difficult to follow this rule. But once you used to it, then you will see the welfare of the keeping all these rules. Then you will feel that the benefits of these rules. So that's why Misful did. So that's why now if you cannot abandon all this fight, but at least you have to try to decrease that. But one thing that I would like to ask you that do you believe that consuming the little sip of alcohol is good for the health or what? Do you have any idea of that? Huh?
I think it does.
Okay.
I think anything, absolutely anything. You know, it's like we live in the rules now. The rule that you're talking about, in the linear intelligent, in the logical and literal intelligent. No one disagrees. Those rules are well-to-do rules. But in the other intelligence, such as kinesthetic intelligence, other intelligence, you can't say just because I happen to kill a mosquito that I'm now trained to one day pull a gun and shoot somebody. I think that's a far-fetched. In the linear thinking, I believe that is possible. That in the linear thinking, you have A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. So yes, if you do 1, most likely you'll get to 3. But that's in the linear thinking. And like in a child where he does not develop a linear thinking, where he does not develop linear thinking, if you give a child, he's running around with a plastic gun and he's fantasizing this, it doesn't mean that you gave him a real gun and say, here, shoot someone, that he would shoot. I think that in the linear thinking and in the teachings that we've been passed on through Buddhism and all other language based, yes. In ideal, no one disagree. But I don't fully agree because I'm a multiple intelligence teacher, and so I cannot agree that in other intelligence that we would do it like in linear thinking. And the rules are good. I'm not saying that because the rule allow us to transmit in the language base, right? And so when I can transmit to you in the language base, the rule are good. The rule of linear thinking, the rule breaks it down. But in a multiple intelligent world where we can see stuff, we can hear stuff, we can feel stuff, I don't believe that same linear process is effective. And yeah, I agree, sometimes a small little drink at the right time with the right person makes a whole damn world difference.
Yeah. These here I remember the one proverb in the Japanese proverb. They're saying that if you want happiness for the few hours, consume the alcohol. If you want the happiness for the few days, consume just take the drugs. If you want to become the happiness for the long time, be the gardener. Yeah, there's one proverb in the Japanese saying. So maybe, consume the alcohol. Yeah, your point. There's a positive point. Yeah, I'm surely maybe consume the little, at you say the right time, right person, right. Maybe some positive points. Yeah, definitely there might be positive points. Now, if you look from the holistic point of view, now, how many people you can get the right drinking and the right person at the right time? Very difficult. You won't get the right person and the right time on the right drinking. Impossible to get that. Because the number one, all the alcoholic person, first they thought like that way. I will take a little sip, little, then they will become. It means that if you look at the consuming the alcohol, if you look at the positive point and negative points, there are more negative points. I'm very sure there are positive points. Now, non-consuming the alcohol, positive points and non-negative points. I don't see any negative points of the not consuming the alcohol. There's no negative point of non-consuming the alcohol. Because so if you look at the monks, we don't take the alcohol, we don't consume. So I don't see any negative points of the not drinking the alcohol. If there is any negative points of the not drinking the alcohol, maybe I should think to take the alcohol.
The fifth point you made about the Panchshila. Little while ago you said you were used to eat chicken and all Tibetans like to eat non-vegetarian. And
not all, most of them. Yeah,
most of them.
Yeah, most.
And the Buddha himself is supposed to have died out of eating poisoned pork. Correct? That is the story of the... Then how do you reconcile the fifth Panchashila with these two statements?
Yeah, fifth Panchashila, yeah. Buddha, now these are two questions. Buddha have eaten the poisoned pork or not? There's two ways of saying. The Vietnamese master Thin Nath, and he used to say that it's not a pork, he's saying the mushroom, whatever. But I believe he might take the pork. But the point is that the Buddha have told them not to kill. Because he have allowed the monks to have the non-vegetarian. Because at that time, at the Buddha's time, monks used to go to bake the food. When the monks become the vegetarian and someone just gave me the non-veg food, they cannot deny the food what they have get. They cannot choose their own food. They are saying that the beggar cannot be the chooser.
Panchashila is only for monks?
No, all. But Panchashila, fifth Panchashila, it says that not to kill.
How can you eat non-veg without killing?
Yeah, not to kill in a vegetarian. Taking the non-veg, the eating, not to killing. It all depends on your intention. Because it is there like that. But you will feel that when you eat the meat, you will feel that someone has to kill that animal. Same thing when you have to eat but it might be a little bit philosophical issue, but I will tell you, if you have to eat the rice, someone has to kill insect. Right cannot go without killing the insect which eat the rice. Even if they eat the rice, farmers have to kill the millions of the insect. They have to put the chemical fertilizers which kills a million of the insect. So indirectly also killing the insect. So that's why Buddha killing is a direct killing. Buddha avoid the direct killing. Indirectly, so much of the having. So example, while I'm talking in the Buddhism talks, indirectly it's might be hurting someone else who don't like the Buddhas. Maybe when I preach the talk of the Buddhas, it hurts. Indirectly it hurts for the other. So I cannot control it. Even when I drink the water, when I take the Aquafina Bisler water, maybe Kenley companies executive CFO killed leader unhappy seeing as I'm drinking the Aquafina water, maybe. That's it's just we call the indirectly hurting. That we cannot avoid it, indirectly hurting. Yeah, indirectly hurting. So that's why Buddha have taught us not to hurt others directly. There's so many of the indirectly hurtings that we cannot control it at all. If we try to control it, then we will suffer ourselves very much. So there's a two way of the hurting other. So killing means directly hurting. Eating the non-veg foods are indirectly hurting. There's so much of the indirectly hurting that we cannot control. Even as I told you before, drinking the Aquafina water might hurt the Canley company CFO, maybe. When he sees so much the people drinking the Aquafina company's water, it might hurt. Do you think that it will hurt or not? Maybe. So that's what we call it, indirectly hurting. Yeah. So maybe, yeah. So I will leave for the question answer session. Now I will just finish here. So that's why last session, that recollecting instruction of the Guru. So up till now I have told the anything. Now once after the listening the my talks, when you feel that something is a good, just take it. Once you feel it is just rubbish, just throw it when you leave this house, okay? Once you feel it is helping to you, just do it. Follow it. Once you feel it's nothing going to help you, just leave it. In this 21st century, we have rights. What we follow, we have a right. So you have a right what you follow. So just follow what you feel the suitable. That's why Buddha have told that his words should be analyzed. He emphasizes very much on the analyzing of his words. So that's why he have told them not to follow his word, just believing to him. Just analyze it. Once you feel it right, just take it. Once you feel not alright, just leave it. He's clearly said that. So that's why if you look in the Buddhist ancient scholars, they have sometimes they have not followed the Buddha's word. Even sometimes they accuse some of the Buddha's word. That's why you can see that the Buddha in his Dhamma, Ambedkar have said clearly, he have said the one thing that Buddha have thrown his own religion in the open challenge. So that's why open challenge, Buddha have thrown his own religion. He have told to do the analysis, open challenge. So that's why Ambedkar feels that very unique of the Buddhism is that Buddha have thrown the Buddhism in the open challenge. He have asked to the analysis. So same thing. Today I'm throwing my words in the open challenge, okay, to you. So you can analyze it. Once you feel it right, do it. Once you don't feel it right, just throw it, okay. So I will just stop here and I will leave for the few minutes for the question answer session, okay.
I'm of the opinion that anything that is man-made cannot be perfect. As in, when it comes to alcohol, it is prepared by man. It cannot be perfect. And anything that is natural, a fruit or a vegetable, which is natural, if you consume it, it is fine. Anything that is man-made cannot be perfect. So if you consume that, it's not fine.
Yeah, very true. I will agree with this point. Very well said. Yeah, yeah. Of course, unnatural. Yeah, very true. In the Tibetan, when we have to celebrate the New Year, they also used to drink a lot of the wines in Tibetan traditional way. Say, well, they are not celebrating. After morning, when they get up, they will drink all the wine, and the rest of the whole day, they will be very drunk. So there's a traditional way. So I don't feel that's a right way of celebrating the New Year. Yeah.
But could it be like the apple, the Jesus apple, if you tell them not to drink it, but they drink it?
Yeah, but the one thing here is but I'm not simply just focused on not to drink. I'm telling the negative points. Now their choice. And the Adam case, God should tell him the negative points of eating the apple. He have not mentioned it. Only he have told the not to eat. If we just tell him the not to eat up, then maybe if you show the negative points, yeah, then you will be not well.
Hello, Tashler Muchla. I have a question. As you told about the eating a non-veg, which Buddha said to Tibetan people, that is kind of exceptional, which I've never heard in my life about that Buddhism. Did Buddha say that the Tibetan can?
No, you have mentioned, no. Buddha have no idea of the Tibetan at all. Buddha have no idea. Because clearly you can see that if you look at the Tibetan history, clearly before arriving the Buddhism in the Tibetan are barbarians, nothing, they have no, they kill each other. They will maybe eating so much the flesh. Barbarians are the lifestyle, barbarian lifestyle. Very clearly if you look at the Tibetan history. After the reaching the Buddhism, the whole the idea ever changed. Before the reaching the Buddhism, Tibetan knows only the killings each other. Because nomadic tribe, barbarian tribe. You can see in the history very clearly. So after the Buddhism reaching, they become very much changed in the culture and the social life. It's a very much changed. So that's why you can see in the Tibetan community, the word compassion is a very, even when we talk, we used to say that someone, we see some of the insect, we are a very poor insect, a poor animal, we will say nyingje, nyingje, it's a compassion. This word, even the small child Tibetan, you can hear that voice. After the coming the Buddhism, it completely changed of the idea, Tibetan people's idea.
Can you tell us a little more about Atisha Dipankara Singha?
Atisha Dipankara, what story or what? Yeah, Atisha Dipankara, he's a very famous one, a very great Indian scholar. It's a great Indian scholar. So one thing is very clear that Osho have said the one thing is very true. He have said that Atisha is the one of the very precious gift for the Tibetan from the Indian people. No one can contribute like that for the Tibetan. Yeah, he's very true. Because at that time of the Tibet, now they are the very much situation in the Tibet was become very confusing state. Because in that time, Tibetan, there are so many of the different scholars have reached from India to preach the Buddhism. So they are confused with the Tibetan Buddhism idea. So Buddhism, you can see that there are many different traditions in the Buddhism, many different ideas in the Buddhism. So Tibetan people at that stage very much get confused with every different tradition of the Buddhism. So that time Atisha came and Atisha just preached the Kadampa tradition. From there the Kadampa tradition started. So that's why the Atisha is the one of the greatest teacher in the Tibetan, the Buddhist history. If you look, he is the one of the greatest teacher. So that's why after the Atisha reaching the Tibet, so he have preached the Kadampa tradition. The Kadampa tradition is emphasizing very much of the compassion, bodhicitta, all these views. He emphasized very much on all these views. Before Atisha here reaching the Tibet, Tibetan people form more of the rituals. Rituals, you know, the Tibetan Buddhist ritual. There are so many of the rituals. Some ritual it will take the 2-3 days to finish the one ritual. Even since my childhood, I get very bored of these rituals. I have no choice. I have to sit. So these all rituals, yeah. So I will get bored of all these rituals, but still I have to follow. Now it's become the Tibetan tradition. We have to follow, and I have to learn all this. Yeah. But simply, my point is that. So that's why Tibetan peoples, they are following the Buddhist rituals more. Then Atisha came in, and then he have just preached the Kadampa tradition, more practical points and more practical advice, how to live, way of the living, how to think. So he have changed very much in the Tibetan community. So Atisha, if you look at the Tibetan history, Atisha is considered as one of the best teachers. Yeah. Yeah. He's just one founder of the founder. Yeah, Atisha is the one founder of the Kadampa tradition. Yeah. So, pardon?
What are the main features of that Kadampa tradition?
Very simple. Kadampa tradition is very simple, as I told you before. It will emphasize more on the way of the living. They will emphasize more on this way of the living. They will not deal that much with the philosophical issues. There are deals, but not much of the philosophical issues. Once if you look at the philosophical issue, Buddhist philosophy, it's very vast. Even if you know that once we have to study, it will take at least 15 or 16 years to finish the Buddhist philosophical issues. But the philosophical issues more deal with all these ideas and the theory and the word and like this, philosophical issues. So that's why Kadampa tradition mostly it would emphasize more on the practice point. So as I told you before, I think several times, I think you remember that when you have some doubt, if you ask for the philosopher, he will clarify that doubt, but he will put you to 2 new doubts. Yeah, that's a philosopher's job. Now the practitioner's job is that once you have something doubt in your life, he will just clarify that doubt and he will show you the new way of the living. That's what the Kadampa tradition does, new way of the living. Once you have to know there are the many ways of the living. Once you know the right way of the living, then only the happiness and the joyness will come in your life. So otherwise, happiness and the joy of the living is not like that. You can achieve from some external or force or external objects. It's not like that. So even in my experience, even in my life, when the Kadampa practices comes in my life, it really changed my life. Because before that, in the monastery, I studied all the philosophical issues. That's very important, very important. Because once you have not understand the philosophical issue, you will not understand the whole of the Buddha's view and ideas. It's very difficult to understand. To measure the Buddha's ideas is very difficult. So that's why you have to go through all the philosophical issues. But after being the philosophical, studying this through, then the Kadampa tradition, all the practices comes in my life. So then my life is totally changed. I should say, totally changed. Change means when I life, then I start to live with the joy of the living, so the life, so that everything is changed. It can happen for everyone here. Because as the Buddhism used to say that we all have a potential to obtain the enlightenment. So we have that potential. Every human have the same potential. So second thing is that every human have a right to live happily. So why don't we live happily? Isn't it? So in the Chinese, they used to tell may you live a very long. When they have an auspicious saying. In the Indian, I think, aapke muh mein ghee shakar, isn't it? Yeah. Same thing, Chinese, they used to say that you may live long. So I used to tell them, if I were you, I won't say that. I will say that you may live happily. Even if you live long, if you're not happy, what use of living so long? If you are happy, that's the most important. If I were you, if I were Chinese, I will say that you may live happily. You may live not long. I won't say that. So that's why I was saying that we have right to live happily. So we have to live the life happily. To living the happily, you have to know the techniques, few techniques. That's the techniques. A few techniques I have told you. Even now that you can read the more books on the Buddhism if you are interested or you want to learn more. Yeah. Any other questions?
Rinpoche, I wanted to ask you a question. If you love somebody and you said to tell the truth, that we should tell the truth. If you love somebody and you're in a relationship with somebody, or if the person is related to you, like a father or a brother, and supposing there's something that you know, a fact, a truth, that you know is going to hurt them, then what should we do if we have to give them an answer? If silence is not an option for us, then how would we tell the person the truth, knowing fully well that that truth will hurt them?
Yeah. So as I told you that every truth is not necessary to tell. So right in this situation, now you have someone ask you, and if you can't keep the silence, there are the many ways of the telling the incident. So example, I will tell you the one thing. So very simple way. There is one I will tell you that in some cases once ask you, but once you tell the truth, it is going to hurt the others. The best thing is that right now as I told you, keep the remain as a silence. Now if still they are insisting, then you have to tell not the truth, half truth, 30% of the truth. Example, one thing I will tell you, I don't know the mansion, the couple. Now couple, and they have just asked me the one question, now they are having the 2 kids. Now third kids, they are planning to go to abortion. It's the 3rd or 4th month of the abortion. So they are asking me, I can't tell anything. From Buddhist point of view, I have to tell not to kill. If I tell, they will tell you so many reasons why they have to kill. Maybe they are saying in the Tibet, every killers have reasons to kill. So best thing I told him, now I will keep the silence. Silence, I cannot tell the truth. Now that I have killed the silence, I will told the silence. Even the Buddha's cases here, but remain also silence. Now the one thing is that if you have like these cases, now if you can just go through telling the half truth, not a fully, now the 30%, 40%. That lie is not the best option. Because once you tell, how long you have to tell the lie for your family members? Maybe you have to tell the lie for the whole your life. That's too long of telling the lie. There is a saying, I think in the English they might have a proverb. There is a proverb in the Tibetan. We used to say that you will get the pot which will not leak the water. You won't get any pot which will not leak the lie. I'm not sure that you will get the full meaning or that. I've just translated that from the Tibetan proverb. They're saying that you will get the pot. I'm asking them to translate. So they're saying that the lie will, one day they will know whether it's a lie. Yeah. Truth is, that's why the truth is, from my experience, because I'm telling that because of the, truth is the one thing that the building the trust is very important, the trust, because my experience, my students, I will tell you, most of my students, they are strangers when they come to my place, stranger. Every month there, I have no idea of where they come from, who their fathers or mother, how they came from, no idea. In monastery, if you just visit, so many small monks, they used to come. I have no idea the way they come from. Even I have no idea whose father is it, whose mother, whose son. I have no idea. But living in the monastery after the years and 2 or 3 years after, then we will keep the very strong bond between the master and student. This time, one of the small monk, he visited his hometown in the Sikkim. I just called him and I just told him that the house of your life's days going into your home. He was crying and saying to me, I want to come back to the monastery. Why he want to leave your parents and come to the monastery? But he give them more love. How he get the love? Because we share with the truth. We will not tell the deceive our students about. So they believe. So that's why if you look at the monastery, if you look at if you have not visited monastery, just visited monastery. See, there are so many young monks. Some might have left their parents in the Tibet. Some are very far away, Arunachal and the Ladakh, all these areas. But still they are young and the small monks. Still they laugh and enjoy the life in the monastery. Why? Monastery food is not good as they here in the Bangalore restaurant food, okay? So whenever I visit the Bangalore, I used to go to the KFC because I miss that KFC burger. I don't get it that in the monastery. But the food is the second issue. First issue is you should get the happiness through the others' love and the respect. And then only food is the second issue. Even if you get a very good food, even no one cares you, no one loves you, how can you feel happy? No issue. In monastery, food is not like good like here, but still we enjoy more. Because in the monastery, tradition has become like the caring and the sharing, loving, trust is very strong over there. So if you have not seen the monastery, just go and see, and just you can go through the small monk's life. You can see the very amazing life. So even there, the very parents are very far away, but still they can laugh and enjoy the life. So even my case, same. When I was joined the monastery, I was age of the 5 or 6. That time my senior take care. He cared me very much. So even that my 6 or 7 years, I don't feel I miss the home. I don't have that feeling of the homesick. I never, even the homesick, that word I've heard, but I've not experienced at all. Even staying the very far away from home. because I get what I need, mentally what I need from being as a small. I need a love. I need a care. I need a trust. I need a friend, everything. So monastery, that's why even in the small monks, so what we used to do with that, when I talk with the small monks, sometimes I used to play the games with them. Usually now the monks become quite senior, then it is very difficult to play with the games because there are too much respect comes to the Rinpoche and students' respect. But the small monks, I used to play the games with them. From my point, health reason, I want to do the exercise. From their point, they want to challenge with me. But eventually, we are having the very good games. So playing the games are not important, but it's creating the closeness. It's increasing the closeness. Only the closeness comes when you share the truth with others. When you lie, then they will doubt, suspicious come in their mind, then you cannot become very close with others. So that's why truth is important, especially in the family and your person who you have to live together. Pardon?
Very ideal concept.
Ideal concept means what do you mean the ideal concept?
It's too ideal to be
Actually ideal, but very difficult to follow at times.
I see. My condition is right. Yeah, but it seems like I think that there's a saying in English. You will see the neighbor's grass is greener, isn't it? Same thing. Yeah. I think like that. Yeah, I look that your condition is much better than me. So you can, Subhashini, you are in my opinion, because you have a less thing to do like me, because in my condition I have many small monks. Sometimes they used to shout quite loud. Even when I was taking the nap, they used to play the football in front of my room. Football, and they will shout at the small monks. I have to deal with all these conditions. So one occasion, I will tell you the one occasion. The small monks. So the small monks, even he sometimes when he entered my room, usually they have to knock the doors. But the small monks, it takes quite time. He will shout very loud. He will not see at me as whether I'm sleeping or what I'm doing. He will shout very loud and say, Rinpoche la, Rinpoche la, means Rinpoche. In Tibetan, will la means Rinpoche ji. but he will shout very loudly. So I have told him maybe it takes 3 or 4 months to teach him not to shout loud. Still he is shouting. Sometimes still he used to shout. So it means that my condition also I have to, might be there, but my condition is not all, every time is not a perfect. But I have to deal with all these conditions. Myself, I have to, you won't find any person with a perfect condition. You won't find anyone like this in this world. But you have to deal with all these conditions. You have to make it perfect. At least for you, you have to make it right.
When you talk about love, right, and you break it down to like caring and sharing, and then you talk about truth is another one, right? For me, it's like two different intelligence, right? Like when I fall in love with a girl, the last thing at the beginning, the last thing I care about is truth, right? I'm more concerned about the caring and the sharing, okay? And then you aspire towards truth. And then if you're in a relationship, any long-term relationship, the caring, the sharing surpass truth. Like to me, truth is this logical, literal intelligence. Even in this truth, what you see with me and what I see with you are two different truths in the visual sense. So when you push truth like that, and then you push happiness, right? Happiness is also this ideal of truth. But then I notice that sometimes when I'm the closest with someone, happiness is not a factor. You know, like when I'm next to my friend, I'm happy. I don't really think of it too much. But I'm missing, like, let's say I'm missing my family right now. It's not making me feel incomplete. That incompleteness is when I'm closest to that love. So to me, this, you know, nowadays everybody's pushing happy, happy, happy. Which in the ideal is truthful. In the highest ideal, no one would debate. But is there some, like right now I'm working with this Dr. Gunadi, and he's a spiritual advisor for the Indonesian president. And he's saying that we need to move away from literal and logical intelligence, because sometimes we pass that on to our children, and everybody's like, yes, yes, no problem, we understand it, it's the highest idea. But in the cellular intelligence and then fulfilling the cellular quotient cannot be complete. It's never been complete. Actually, if you went back to the beginning where Buddhas, until now, mankind in the ideal has been very high, but in the cellular quotient has been the same. We still have disconnect. We still have, you know, the misunderstanding. So the reason why I came to your class was this doubtless perfection. You know, how do you get to a point where, because to me perfection is also an ideal. So how do you get it to become doubtless perfection? Which now I'm hearing all this and all the conversation, and there are perfections for sure, but they're still very doubtful. Even you were testing it. You're saying, hey, I'm throwing this out here. You test it. Shows me that we still have doubt. Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, and we were just like, okay, hey, I'm doubt free and I'm perfected. So I guess I want to get more on your title of your teaching.
Doubt-free perfection.
Doubtless perfection.
Okay. To reach the doubtless perfection, first you should have a doubt. Very important. Once you have to know the taste of the sweet, first you have to eat the bitter. First you take the lemon, then you eat the sweet. Then you will know the uniqueness of the beautifulness of the sweet. Same things as once you don't have the doubt, you can reach the doubtless perfection. First, the doubt is very important. To doubt, then second step, what you have to do is then clarify all the doubts. Clarifying all the doubts, Buddha mentioned the perfection of the wisdom. Perfection of wisdom. Now I will step a little bit down. Okay. Now right now it comes not a general point. Now it comes a little bit of the second layer of the Buddhism. Okay. Second layer of the Buddhism. Now the perfection of the wisdom will only arise. You will understand the ultimate truth. Ultimate truth, that's why the Buddha started to talk about the emptiness theory. That's the emptiness is the theory, is the ultimate truth. Once you have to understand the emptiness truth, emptiness truth or the emptiness nature, then the wisdom, perfection, wisdom will arise. After the perfection, wisdom will arise, then it can only clarify all the doubts. So that's why if you look at the Buddha's life history, he have no any doubts, such a doubts. In the dealing with the necessities of the life. He might have a doubt whether in the Buddha's time, if someone asked the Buddha, is there any humans in Africa or what? Maybe I have no answer. I don't think the Buddha have no doubt of these issues. But the important thing is that he have no any doubts of the dealing with the life issues, life matters. So because of that he have just attained what we call the perfection of wisdom. Perfection with the wisdom only can be arises when we understand the emptiness. Now to the understand the emptiness, now again the big questions comes. Now again the emptiness, it comes the big questions. Now that's the one point. Second point is, I think you're sharing, talking about happiness, and again you have to understand the two things in the Buddhism, pleasure and the happiness. They are two different things. Now what you are mentioning, pleasure, in essential pleasure is not a happiness at all. Once you see some of the beautiful objects, certainly you feel something, that's we call the pleasure, that's not happiness. It is what we call the sudden emotion. It might remain for the few moments, it will be lost. So that's why it's saying the out of the sight, out of the mind. Pleasure is like that. When you become the out of the sight, it will become the out of the mind. Happiness is something that we sustain. It will leave the longs. Suppose example. Once you are practicing, suppose example, happiness is something that what we are saying, that even if you are in the miserable condition, when you can live without any of the suffering or any of the disturbance in the mental state, that's we call the happiness, even in the miserable condition. That's the few techniques the Buddha mentioned, how to generate all these issues. Then now in the Buddhism, they make a big difference between the pleasure and the happiness. Most of the people right now, they fall in the pleasures, not in the happiness. They are not thinking of the happiness, just of the pleasures. So even consuming the alcohol, attachment toward the pleasure, not the happiness. We won't call it as a happiness. After the consuming the alcohol, they might give some of the pleasance or something like after taking the drugs. We call the sensual pleasure. That's the big difference from the happiness. So doubtless perfection only arises when we realize the emptiness. Now the understanding the emptiness is not a simple issue. Okay, I tried for many years, still I'm trying. Okay, still I'm not succeeded. Oh, it's a difficult task.
Good. My question is based on the 12th verse, which is on the genuine compassion and attachment and impermanence of love. What I believe is that for instance, like a relationship between a boy and girl or husband and wife, when the person falls into love, the genuine love it shows that he or she gets married. But I personally believe that in that genuine love, there's a mix of a pool of attachment as well as afflicted emotion. So because of which it leads to later stage divorce kind of case. Now that's my opinion. Now my actual question is that you said that to reduce the attachment, you need to accept that it's an impermanence of love or object. I mean, to reduce the attachment. Now, if someone, for instance, like I try to fall in love with somebody, thinking that love is impermanent, will that lead to not to have a genuine love? Because this might lead to, because I keep on asking myself that, okay, what I have feeling towards that girl is not permanent. That's my other question. Now, the second question is also based on that, because I personally believe that a genuine love will have a lot of mix of attachment and also afflicted emotion. But what is more important is that a genuine love should have more of a sense of forgiving and as well as more understanding rather than having more of attachment. So what can you say on that? Because that's what is happening in the real, because it happens to each and everybody. But in terms
now
of
I got your two questions. Isn't it? First question is you're talking about the thinking the impermanent, how it helps to generating the yeah. The second question?
The second question is on that, because when somebody falls in love, which what we call a genuine love, he or she gets married. But I believe that in that there are a lot of afflicted emotion attachments there. Because and on that way, if you want to reduce that, we follow the impermanence of love. But if you're going that way, I personally get sense that if I go in that way, will I able to have genuine love or not? I might say not to. I don't want to get married to that girl because the love is impermanent.
Okay, yeah. Okay, here I remember the one incident story. One of my friend Gishila, one of my friend, he just told me that one girl and her mother came to that master's place, because the girl was at that time was so much depressed because getting the divorce with her boyfriend. So boyfriend, she was so depressed and thinking some mother given advice not to worry and not to worry. Then finally the mother took her to the master's place, that Gishila, we call Gishila place. So the Gishila, before giving the advice to that girl, so girl asked the master the one question that Gishila, and that asked her, she asked the master that did you ever fall in this romance love? That master told no. Then girl told you won't understand it. So it's not like that at all. It was my consumption, my understanding, because we have to understand the mind's works. That I've done this PhD on this or the mind and the mental factors. Whatever you call the romance love, whatever you call genuine love, whatever the impermanent love, all comes in the mind. Because we have learned how the mind works. That's why we know the perfect exactly, we are knowing that. So that's why the genuine love. Now, okay, impermanent, there are many ways of the thinking the impermanent. So Buddhism, or that's what we are saying, the impermanent thinking, the self-impermanence. Now if you fall with the love with someone else or a girl or a boy or someone else, will you marry or not marry? That's another thing. But the important point is that the marrying or the not marrying it, you can decide it. But the point is that whenever you started to love, also the romance loves comes, you will think more of the welfare of your self-happiness. Because if you think that deep down, if you ask someone to go with you out for the date, for the dinner or night, just think yourself why you are going to that date. Because you will feel that you will be more happy, you will be enjoy the more time. That's we call the impure love. That will not remain for so long as. So that's why they are saying that when you have too much of the wrong love or attachment toward your wife, there's one of the proverb of the day saying that wife. Now when you died that wife, and when you get the new wife, you will be more happy to losing the previous wife. Because this is all what we call the attachment or the wrong love. In one occasion, I'm just giving this public talk. One lady told me that all the men are like that. I'm not so sure whether like that or not. But my point is that all the men are not that, but who have not understand the pure love, that might be like that. So now you are the impermanence. There are many ways attachment to thinking the attachment is reducing the attachment impermanence. You have to think of the impermanence of the self, impermanence of other. So thinking that way, what will you with? Now you have to live very short moment to live. Now what you have to think? Very short moment to live. So why don't you live short moment happily together? They give in the Buddhist text, they give the one example. They are the 3 prisoners who are going to kill tomorrow. They are the 3 prisoners, okay? They are going to kill tomorrow. So are living in that prison. Among these 3 prisoners, will it be right to accuse each other or fight each other or what? What will you do? You get my point? You are just put in the prison. You are going to kill tomorrow. Now you are there, the 3 prisoners with you, okay? Now plus you are the 4. Now what will you do that night? You will fight each other or you will live happily for that night? You will live happily with that night. It's an instant to fight each other, which you are going to kill tomorrow. Same thing in this life. Who knows how long we are going to live? What you live together with happily. How long we are going to live? We have no idea. But live it happily. That's the tests have given like this example. So that's why impermanence thinking is that we are not going to live forever. So whatever that we have, leave it together with happily. Number 1. Number 2 is that what we are made. That very true. For the beginner points, the attachment and the genuine love all will come mixed with you, because our ego push us too much. But first step is that we have to realize that the wrong attitude, like a self attitude or ego should be. Once we have to realize it, very be careful. Once we have realized that we are the egoistic or we are the very self-thinking people, we have not realized our negative points, then it will be very difficult to live with the other together, very difficult. First step is we have to realize our own negative points. That's very important. Because now the cases, if you look at both cases, even in the family cases, when the husband started to accuse the wife started to accuse the husband, but I would know that the both might have the wrong side or negative points. But important thing is that they both are not understanding their own negative points. So that's why these all issues comes. So that's why here now the genuine love and the attachment. First time that it will comes together. But our side, what we have to think is we have to try to increase that genuine love, try to decrease that attachment. That's very important. So that's why even the one best thing is in our life, that the best thing is our life, that what we will know that when you start to think the other welfares more and more, then you will enjoy this way of the lifestyle. Once you enjoy the lifestyle of this way to the thinking the welfare of the others, then your life will become very pure, pious life. So that's why now here you also ask you are asking me that the genuine love, isn't it? You know, genuine love say the marve. Genuine love. Okay, genuine love. Okay. So genuine love, very simple point. I will tell you the one point of my own example. Genuine love, how we consider. Suppose example, if you look, that might be a little bit difficult to listen by the Tibetan people, but that's my reality truth. As I'm a being in the Tibetan, and especially I'm the Buddhist practitioner. What I choose as the Buddhist practitioner, being as the Buddhist human is more important than the being as a Tibetan. So that's why I feel there's no any nationalism idea in my mind at all. I don't feel the nationalism. I just use the one word, universalism. Hyper-nationalism, all this started to things, not a genuine love, wrong love towards yourself. When you think that I'm Tibetan, Tibetan is something. When you feel like I'm a Nepali, the Nepal is something. When you all this hyper-nationalism idea all comes from the wrong loves. So that's why no nationalism idea. I have no nationalism idea at all. But I feel the Tibetan boys, girls, might feel a little difficult to digest that. But that's the reality. So that I have no. So I've used only one word in my mind. I used to say the universalism. There's no nationalism. Universalism. This whole idea comes when you have lost the wrong loves toward yourself. When you have the wrong love towards yourself, my country, then disputes and avarice comes. So even whatever the Chinese what they are doing, I have no any hatred towards them. Loves. Still I care. They are same in the human what we are. That makes me more happy. I'm happy thinking all the points of the negative points, all the Chinese, I will have to spend the sleepless night. What use of spending the sleepless nights? So that's why points all this genuine love. So that's why my point is that the genuine loves only comes when you think the welfare of the others. Once you have starting to think the welfare of the others, then you will see the big changes. It comes big changes. Initially, it might be very difficult. When you practice it, and it will become more and more easy. So, any others? So, one thing is a Buddhism practice point. You are understanding right now what you are understanding through only my words. That will be not much effective. Once you understand it through your experience and through your practice, it will be a very big difference. Practice is very important. Right now what you have understanding all this Buddhism, love and compassion idea only through the word, that will not much make the difference in your life. You might think that it might be true, but it will not affect you that much. Practically understanding is you have to practice it, then you will understand better.
My another question is, it goes back to the same, the genuine love, compassion. Because I might be wrong, that's my opinion. It could be my introspection to myself, asking this question and then asking to you that same question, because I couldn't able to answer that. I personally believe that a genuine love, if I put in a percentage, a love 40% and forgiving 40% and a little bit of attachment. So because in a relation, a father or a son or husband and wife, a boy, a girl, I'm sure that they bound to be because there is a seed of attachment is there from the initial stage. So when there is a kind of hatred between that, if you have a more sense of self-forgiving, but that will definitely be an antidote, because that's what I personally experienced myself. So rather than just going back to impermanent of love, which myself is pretty difficult. So I personally, in my experience, forgiving is very important to antidote in terms of attachment when it comes to problem.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, very true. But the point is that the forgiving might be very difficult when you have too much the egoistic. When you have the thing that you are the right and you are the right. Very difficult. I know that. So that's why you are very true that the forgiving is one of the very good antidote. But the forgiving not comes very easily. Forgiving comes only when you when you succeed to decrease your ego. Suppose my example, I will tell you the one thing. In monastery, one of the small monk, he have not made any mistake. Later on, I find it out. I just called him quite harshly, so doing the mistake. Later on, I found it that he have done not a mistake. So the few days later, I have just told him that I'm very sorry that you have done nothing wrong. I'm not. So that small monks, for the couple of the monks, he have just recited the same thing, and he's telling me that Rinpoche, you scolded me without any mistake. He's telling me that same thing for the couple of the months. He is telling me and saying that same thing and telling me that Rinpoche, you scolded me because I have done nothing mistake, but still you scolded me. Yeah, same thing is still. So that's why my point is that the forgiveness, yeah, very true. But forgiveness only comes when you have a less ego. But once you have too much the ego, it might be a little bit difficult. Yeah, so very true. Okay, then we will all follow to give the forgive. Okay? Someone have done the wrong things to you. Okay. Okay, now we will stop here. Thank you and see you later.
We'll just do some dedication prayers at the... This is on page 11 in the prayer book. I dedicate whatever virtues I have ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Dragpa to shine forever. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel Bodhisattva that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. You who uphold the subduer's model way, who serve as a bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplished magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, protector of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
For everyone who's come to the center for the first time, you can just fill out a form near the desk over there where you leave your telephone numbers and email IDs, and we'll get in touch with you for any future programs. So if you're interested, you can do that. Please.